I feel so blind without my glasses. Hey guys, David here. I was thinking, I do video game reviews and I review all kinds of video games, at least the ones that I'm willing to try. And I figured that now, I have an iPod. Why can't I not review or let alone play mobile games? So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and review my first mobile game, and there was probably no better way for me to start reviewing mobile games than to start off with one of the more acclaimed games on the mobile market. And that's a game called Infinity Blade. I've heard this game being talked about, every now and then. I mean, I've heard it through IGN, through GameSpot. It's one of those mobile games that managed to capture the attention of people who would pay more attention to more AAA titles. So I decided to look it up, and it turned out to be free, so I downloaded it, played it, and now here's my review. Infinity Blade is probably one of the simplest yet best experiences that you can have in mobile gaming. The game is set in medieval fantasy, so you got yourself some spells, armor, that sort of thing. And it focuses on this knight who is on a quest to avenge his father, who challenged the almighty God King. The God King possesses a weapon called the Infinity Blade, and with this blade he has vanquished knight after knight after knight. So it's up to you to go through his fortress, defeat all his minions, and finally face the evil king. One of the things I loved about the game is the double entendre for Infinity Blade. Not only is it the weapon that the game is centered around, but it also reflects on how this game plays out. You start out by being the father of this knight, and it puts you through at least one boss fight, and it is through this boss fight that it teaches you the tutorials, how to engage in combat, how to use spells, how to block, that sort of thing. And then finally you face the God King. The God King is a strong motherfucker. This guy is at level 50, and obviously you get your ass handed to you. But using common video game logic, you can obviously tell that this is on purpose. Lo and behold, you die, and your son comes back years later to avenge your death. And now you play as the son, and now it's up to you to go through the entire fortress, defeating all these monsters, these mystical beings, these knights that have different fighting styles. Some of them are huge, so they're going to be swinging, but when they swing it's awfully slow, so you have to take your time dodging. And there's others that are, small. Well, I don't want to say smaller. They're tall, but they're thin, and they're more nimble, and they use all these kind of swaying attacks. The guy with the two axes, and he's able to swing this way and swing that way, that was the worst. I'm not going to say this game is unforgiving, but it does have its challenge. And basically you play through the fortress, and obviously, since this is a mobile game, it uses the touch functionality on either the iPod or the iPad or the tablet. I'm pretty sure this is just on the App Store. I'm not sure if it's available for Androids or that sort of thing. Post in the comment, let me know. But I do know that it's available on the App Store, and it uses the touch functionality to be able to get its gameplay across. And is it good? For the most part it is, but much like with a lot of mobile games that rely on touch functionality, it's not always that responsive. Every now and then I try to swipe. It picks up the swipe, but the kind of swipe is sometimes a little mixed up, gets lost in the mix there. Sometimes I would want to slash, with a sword vertically, but he ended up, slashing horizontally. I caused almost the same amount of damage, but it wasn't the exact pinpointed movement that I wanted. Pressing the arrows to the left or the right makes you dodge from the left to the right, and much like the slashing, much like the actual combat, it gets a little unresponsive every now and then. It could be the fact that I'm playing on an iPod and not on an iPad. Something that I never really liked about mobile games, and hopefully I don't go on a tangent here, but sometimes games play out almost completely differently on an iPad rather than an iPod. On an iPod, obviously you got the smaller screen, and you obviously have to deal with your thumbs and with your fingers and how you're going to be able to take up all the space on the screen, whereas with an iPad, the icons on the screen are going to be bigger. You got much better mobility when it comes to your hands on the screen. So, and along with that, you also got some of the technical specs that get modified in the mix, and I'll talk about that in a second. But overall, the combat was good, just not that very great. What made me come back to the game is its upgrade system. This game takes some pages from the notebook that is RPG, which makes complete sense considering that this game takes place in medieval fantasy. And basically, as you go through this fortress, you collect, shields or any sort of weaponry or armory that you're going to need to use. You got yourself some health potions, you got money, and every time you defeat an enemy, you get money and experience points. And these experience points are obviously going to make you stronger. Every time you level up, you gain this XP point to be able to level up your attack, your defense, your magic, your health. But it's simple. It doesn't overcomplicate things. It doesn't say, oh, you have to level up this in order to get this, and you can't mix and match this kind of armor. No, it's very simple. It says right there, you leveled up to level 5. You get 2 points. Use this point for health or use this point for defense. And it doesn't, question your intelligence. You can actually play this game, have fun, and at the same time feel like you're strategizing, trying to, either get the right armor, that way you can defeat a certain enemy. But that's another thing that I find kind of fun with this game, is that not every single enemy is going to be the same. As you go through the fortress, there's going to be different enemies that pop out, and like I said, some of them are big, huge, powerful, but slow, and there's other faster, nimble, yet smaller and weaker enemies. And okay, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the double entendre of the game. When you die, you die. The game then fast forwards 20 or so years later, and now you play the son of that character that you just played. It's a similar mechanism that I've heard ZombiU for the Wii U has, in which if you die, that character is dead. You don't come back as that character. You instead take the role of another character. Same thing in Infinity Blade. In fact, Infinity Blade may have been the one that pioneered it. Not 100% sure. But you do come back as a different character. Fortunately, thank goodness, this is not Demon Souls or Dark Souls. You actually come back with the same amount of experience points, the same level, and even down to the same armor, the money, everything. Which kind of makes sense, I guess, since the son would inherit these objects. So now you play through the castle again, and eventually you just keep doing that over and over and over. But it never feels immensely repetitive, at least after maybe an hour of playing. After almost every game, it's going to get a little repetitive or a little tiresome after maybe 1, 2, maybe 3 hours, and eventually you're going to have to put it down and come back. But this game at least made me want to come back later or the next day and finish it. Now, even though the game is on a mobile device and it's free, it is far from perfect. One of the hindering things that did make me want to take a break from the game is some of the specs. This game, right from the get-go, right from the opening logo, lets you know that it's using the infamous Unreal Engine, Unreal 4 if I'm not mistaken. And don't get me wrong, the graphics on this thing are amazing, especially for a mobile game. However, I'm playing on my poor little iPod, and because the graphics are just so heavy and so detailed, the frame rate suffers a lot, to the point where it did hinder my experience. I mean, that's why I was talking about some of the moves not being totally responsive, is that every now and then when I engage in battle, I was, the guy would take forever to swing at me, and I would be pressing the arrow, and he's dodging like 2 or 3 times, waiting for the enemy to hack and slash at me. And I just found that very, very inconvenient, to the point where I feel that sometimes the developers for the game think only about the iPad or the tablet rather than people's mobile, much more mobile devices like an iPhone or an iPod. Especially the iPod. I feel like the iPod gets the lower end of the stick when it comes to some of these high-end graphic games. They don't think about, the capacity. I wish they would kind of downplay a little bit on the graphics, like say some, at least those in the vein of a PlayStation 1 game. Just give us some efficient gameplay that we can get hooked on, and I think we could have a really great game on our hands. But unfortunately, the graphics, despite the fact that they look beautiful, they were really, really slow. And they hindered the experience a lot, to the point where I can take bites out of my sandwich while I wait for an enemy to attack. So even though the graphics are amazing, despite the fact that some of the frame rate issues hindered the experience quite a bit, it still has a very addictive RPG style to it. The gameplay is good, the presentation's good. I like how they took the double entendre of the Infinity Blade with the actual, the way the game actually works. And let me just say, man, that ending, it actually makes me want to come back for more. And I am under the knowledge that there's an Infinity Blade 2. Will I be getting it? I'm not sure I'll be doing that anytime soon, but I wouldn't mind replaying Infinity Blade again. I give Infinity Blade a 7.9 out of 10, which is a C+. Last time I checked, it was still free in the App Store, so if you guys have an iPad, an iPod, or any sort of Apple device, be sure to check it out. Thank you guys for watching, and hopefully I'll be reviewing more mobile games. See you guys next time.